Okay, so here we go from the top. This is one where it is not just a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2. Okay, so this is a little more complicated kind. And so first thing you should do is check and see if it works. Does it work? Yes, this one will work. Because why? The 1 matches the 1. And what will the answer matrix be? A 3 by 2. Great. You definitely want to copy this one down. You want one good example in your notes. I'll give you a reason why. The math teacher, me, I was trying to figure this out this morning and I could not remember how to do it. It's not that complicated, but it's got enough little twists in it that you just can't make this stuff up. You got to have notes on how to do it. So I was able to go back. I could have actually watched my video from last year. So I could have actually taught myself, except it's not me from the future teaching myself. It's me from the past teaching myself, which is really kind of weird if you think about it. Okay, I actually ended up just asking one of my colleagues who had looked it up the night before to remember how to do this. So it's not the kind of thing you just do all the time, like, hey, what were you doing in the living room there, Dad? No, I was multiplying matrices. You don't usually do this regularly enough to remember it. Okay, so here's what you do. Once you got your empty spots, see, I know it's going to have those empty spots where the yellow things are there. I go up and I can put in the names for them. Wouldn't you agree that this spot would be row 1, column 1? Okay. What is the address for the space right underneath it? Row 2, column 1. Do you get what I'm doing here? Go ahead and label all those spots. And this is not busy work. This tells you what pieces you have to use to get that answer. All right, so we have to use, for that first one, we have to use row 1, column 1. So I'm going to use one of my fancy pens. And row 1 is right there. You know how rows go across? Okay. And columns go up and down. There's column 1. So row 1 and column 1 produce the 3 and the -1. This is a multiplying question. That's kind of the point. I guess I should probably have one of those in there. And the final answer then is just 3 times -1 makes -3. So I got that? I took row 1 and column 1, put them together, multiplied them, stuck them in there. All right, next one is row 2 and column 1. So I can take and move these highlighted spots someplace else. Row 2, column 1. What's 2 times -1? -2. And then it's row 3, column 1. I don't even think I need the fancy pen anymore. What's row 3 going to give me? 8 with the column 1, -1. 8 times -1. Get the idea? Okay, this top spot here is row 1, column 2. I find row 1, column 2, 3 times 2, 6. How about the next one? 4. How about the next one? 16. Good. That's it. This is one good example you can write in your notes. All right. And they don't get too much more complicated. We just got to try it in different ways. Here's another one. It's a 1 by 2 and a 2 by 2. First of all, will it work? Yes, it will, because the 2's in the middle match up. And my answer will be a 1 by 2. And there it is. And you just have to put your address in those 2 spots. Like the first one is always row 1, column 1. And then you have to think about this one. Did I change rows or did I change columns? Change columns. So it's row 1, column 2. All right, then that tells me where to go. Row 1, column 1. Here's row 1. Here's column 1. Put them together. And I end up with, wait a minute, I got 4 numbers. What am I going to do with that? I'm going to do 5 times the 3. You see how these 2 go together? I'm going to use triangles to make them look different. And then, do you see how these 2 go together? 5 times the 3 and 2 times the 14 make 15 and 14, and then you add them. So what do you get? 29. All right. I'd like somebody else to tell me how to do this last one. Volunteer. Come on. If you get this, it should be a piece of cake. Bunch of chickens. Come on. I won't say your name on the tape. So I'll never know. It'd be like, okay, there we go. Mystery human. Go ahead. Row 1 on the first one. Column 2 on the second one. 3 times 0 is 0. Makes 18. 0 and 18 makes. You got it right. Good job. All right. Way to go, Mr. Human. This one, the purple one. Try it. All by self. I'll pause while you do that. Okay, so that's how I'd start, by putting row 1, column 1 in that top spot. Row 1 or to row 2, column 1. I knew it was 2 by 1 because of those 2 outside guys. I knew it was going to work because of those inside guys. And then I do row 1, column 1. That's row 1. That's column 1. And I do 0, or 1 times 0 is 0, and 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 plus a 0 makes 10 in there. And this one, I do row 2. That's this guy. And column 1, same column. And it's still a 0 in the first spot, and a negative 15 makes negative 15. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, good. The next one, you know what? I think we're getting enough practice here, so I'm going to skip over that one. Let's just look at these. That top green question mark, what is its address? Row 1, column 1. And you're always going to start with that for every one of matrices that you write. But on the other matrix, I got a red question mark in there. What's that? Row 2, column 2. All right. Multiply that one out. It took 10 seconds. Somebody figured out you can't. All right. Because this is a what by what. And this is a. And do these match? No, so it won't work. All right, so you can save yourself the time. Now, somebody brought up a good point, and they said, what if you had like a 3 by 1 and a 2 by 3? If you reverse them, then they would work. But the way they are right now, they wouldn't work. Well, if you reverse them, you have changed the problem. So if the problem looks like this, you get to just say, no, won't work. If you reverse the 2 matrices, change them around, you like change their position, move this over here, you are completely changing the problem to something else. That means 3 times 2 is not the same as 2 times 3. You know what I mean? It doesn't follow the commutative property. That's the property in math that says that when you change places in multiplication, that you can do that and it's the same answer. In this, it's not the same answer. It's completely different. In fact, we can even think about it this way. If we had a 1 by 3 and a 3 by 1, should it work? Yes, and the answer would be what kind of a matrix? 1 by 1, which is just a single element. If I reverse it and go 3 by 1 and 1 by 3, should it work? Yes, but the answer should be what kind of a matrix? Which is a lot bigger answer, right? So you can't just reverse them willy-nilly. You have to leave them in the same order they're in, otherwise you're changing the question. All right. Extra practice, didn't need it. Here's one. If I have a variable, then I just do it like normal. This is row 1, column 1. Here's row 1, column 1. 1 times A is A, plus 3 times 6 is 18, so I put A plus 18. That's all there is to it. So if there's a variable, it follows all the same rules. All right. Your first homework problem. Go ahead and try that one while I am handing out the homework. And I have one last video clip to show you. So if you can write those numbers down fast, I'll pull up the video clip. I don't think this is going to make it onto the recorded video, so that's it. Bye-bye.